Hopes for a lasting peace in the Israel-Palestine conflict suffered a major setback on March 2, 2025. Israel made a significant move. It halted all humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. This action followed the rejection of a U.S. proposed ceasefire extension by Hamas. The initial 6-week truce, brokered on January 19, 2025, had expired the day before. Tensions are high. The possibility of renewed violence looms large. The situation in Gaza is dire. 2 million residents rely heavily on international aid. The recent ceasefire had brought a glimmer of hope. Essential supplies flowed into the region. Now, with the aid cut off, fears of a humanitarian crisis are resurfacing. The international community is watching closely. The fragile peace hangs in the balance. The next few days will be crucial in determining the fate of the ceasefire and the future of Gaza. The initial ceasefire agreement involved significant concessions from both sides. Hamas, the militant group controlling Gaza, agreed to release a group of Israeli hostages. This included 25 individuals and the bodies of 8 others. In exchange, Israel committed to releasing nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. They also agreed to withdraw their forces from most of Gaza. This withdrawal excluded a critical area known as the Philadelphia Corridor, a point of contention in the agreement's implementation. The agreement also aimed to address the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza. It allowed for increased aid deliveries to reach the beleaguered population. This influx of supplies offered a lifeline to the residents who had endured weeks of conflict and shortages. The ceasefire, while temporary, represented a significant step towards easing tensions. However, the truce was always fragile. Deep mistrust between the two sides persisted. The recent breakdown underscores the challenges in achieving a lasting peace in the region. Israel's decision to halt aid to Gaza is a calculated gamble. Prime Minister Netanyahu framed the move as a direct consequence of Hamas's refusal to extend the ceasefire. He insists that the flow of aid is contingent on the continued release of hostages held by Hamas. This stance resonates with a segment of the Israeli public eager for a tougher stance against the militant group. However, the decision is not without its critics. Domestically, left-leaning politicians and humanitarian organizations have condemned the move. They argue it will disproportionately harm innocent civilians in Gaza. They also fear it will jeopardize the lives of the remaining hostages. Internationally, the move has been met with concern. Many view it as counterproductive to the peace process. The aid suspension highlights the complex political calculations at play. It also underscores the high stakes involved for all parties involved. Hamas reacted swiftly and angrily to Israel's decision. They denounced the aid blockade as cheap extortion and a war crime. Hamas officials accused Israel of violating the ceasefire agreement and using the humanitarian crisis as leverage. They warned of dire consequences for the remaining hostages if the aid was not restored. The group called on international mediators, particularly Egypt, to intervene. They urged the international community to pressure Israel to reverse its decision. They emphasized the urgent need to resume aid deliveries to prevent a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. The situation remains tense. Both sides have dug in. The fate of the hostages hangs in the balance. The international community is left grappling with how to revive the peace process.